Live. DBL starts right now.
3, 2.
Welcome to DBL. It is Tuesday, February 9th. I'm Tori here with Al and Lindsay. Al, do you want to repeat what you said about what I look like?
I didn't say it. All I said was I think Lindsay's going to moderate when you get called down for 7th grade pictures. And then we pick up when other people have to leave. That's the beauty of DBL.
Mr. Hansen's calling. I got to go. All right, let's get started. I don't know if a lot of you have seen this documentary, but I highly recommend it. We're diving in straight into it. It's Britney Spears. She is back in the spotlight because of this new documentary. It's called Framing Britney Spears. I watched it last night. It's on Hulu. It explores explores her life and the tabloid exploitation of her troubles. The film also dives into the 13 years that her father, Jamie, has been her conservator, which has spawned the Free Britney movement and hashtag. Well, now we got a lot of stars supporting Britney on social media, including Andy Cohen, Bette Midler, and Sarah Jessica Parker. I saw Khloe Kardashian also piped in. The film interviews some of the paparazzi who actually covered her, very public breakdown, like the time she attacked one of their vehicles with an umbrella. It also examines, though, Britney's very famous relationship with Justin Timberlake and exposes some of the questions she faced surrounding the breakup. Like this 2003 interview with Diane Sawyer that hasn't aged well. Let's take a look.
I have to ask a couple of things about Justin.
Okay, of course.
He has gone on television and pretty much said, you broke his heart. You did something that caused him so much pain, so much suffering. What did you do?
I was upset. I was upset for a while. I think we're both really young, and it was kind of waiting to happen. And I will always love him. He'll always have a special place in my heart. He is such a great person.
So the question is, looking back at everything that happened to Britney, was she treated unfairly? And do stars like Justin Timberlake or Diane Sawyer, or all of us really, owe her an apology? I will start. I watched it last night, and I will be the first to say I was 100% part of that media pile-on. And I owe whoever, if she's watching, whatever happens to this, an enormous apology. I made fun of her. I mocked her. I laughed at her. It was a pop culture part of the vocabulary. And I feel awful after seeing what went down. How do you guys feel? I know you were in the media too a bit.
Yeah, it's like it was like an easy, lazy way to go about the story, right? Because the whole media decided whose side they were on. So not Justin Timberlake's, you know, not on Britney Spears' side, on Justin Timberlake's side, and many other things. It made her look like she was always the one who was in the wrong. And I think it sucks because when you have a child star that comes up from Mickey Mouse Club, you've been in the limelight since you were a kid. And so sometimes you don't even know who you are or how to develop that person, and you're constantly being criticized. And so if you notice, a lot of people that were child stars have issues. We saw that with Screech. We saw that with so many people in different films when they were younger. And so Britney had this experience. And I want to pull up this Family Feud clip that I think we have that shows an example of how the media overall was kind of joking on her and not giving her the space to grow up.
Name something Britney Spears has lost in the past year. Her husband. Get something. The hair. There it is.
She's lost her sanity.
And she lost her mind. I'm sure Britney appreciates that. Absolutely. Let's find out what are the other things she's lost this past year. Number 2, 5, or 6, or 7, or fans. All righty, there you have it.
I mean, isn't that hard to watch, Al? Like, watching that today, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't seem like it would have really happened.
Well, it makes sense in that that's kind of what this country does. You were talking about child stars. We build you up, we knock you down, and then we profit off.
But not all child stars. Like Justin Timberlake was in the Mickey Mouse Club.
We all remember the big apology that he gave when he ripped Janet Jackson's shirt. Oh, wait, that didn't happen.
Amen.
But there was a Diane Sawyer where she grilled him about doing that. Oh, wait, it didn't happen. So we all see that there's layers of misogyny, layers of attacking a person that if Diane Sawyer didn't know that there was something going on with her, then she can't sit in that seat, period. And you apologized, Tori, up front. The only reason I didn't pile on is because I grew up with that, and I saw it in my face this close. So that wasn't funny to me. But the rest of the people that saw that, I really appreciate what you said, Tori. If everybody just be like, yeah, I handled that poorly.
Yeah.
We can all move on. But when you double down, like that's some kind of cool strategy, here we are, and we cannot progress.
Right. And if you're woke, you got to be able to go down there and say you were part of the problem. Otherwise, you're just dreaming. I do want to say also, at 17, they showed clips of her on a German talk show, and they were like, let's talk about your breasts. And she's like, my breasts? So she was overly sexualized too, and then got blamed for being too sexy. This girl could not win to save her life. I do want to show a clip that's gone viral. This is Craig Ferguson back in the day deciding to not do what I did and what others did, which was to take the easy, lazy route. Look at this monologue and see he was way ahead of his time. Take a look.
Listen, when the kind of weekend she had, she was checking in out of rehab, she was shaving her head, getting tattoos. That's what she was doing this weekend. This Sunday, I was 15 years sober. So I looked at her weekend and I looked at my own weekend and I thought, you know, I'd rather have my weekend.
Yeah, and he went on to say, I've decided not to make fun of her. She's 25, she's still a baby, so I'm changing my monologue, and I will not be doing any jokes about Britney Spears. And still the audience starts to laugh.
They were trying to laugh the whole time. They were like, come on, make fun of her.
Yeah, and it wouldn't happen. So praise for Craig Ferguson for
knowing. And you know, like, a lot of these networks are drawn by ratings, and so we saw the same thing when I was speaking about Gayle King and how she interviewed Lisa Leslie, right? There's still somebody overhead that's like, hey, we have to ask the question. So even if we go in a roundabout way, so we're watching that Diane Sawyer interview and saying that it wouldn't happen today, but it probably would happen today, just maybe in a more PG-13 way. I don't think that anybody's going to dodge some of these questions that are happening. When you have to really, you have the big interview, you have to ask the question.
But you have a different vocabulary now, I would think, in 2021, that instead of attack angle, it's like, let's talk about this angle. I hope. Our show
you can't come from a biased side.
Right. I hope, at least our show. And again, my apologies. I was part of that problem. Well, there's another new documentary that caught our eye. It's called Some Kind of Heaven. And it claims to expose the dark underside of the largest retirement community in America, The Villages. Y'all might have heard of it, where everything is geared toward this fun and leisure in a Disney-like setting. If you didn't know, The Villages is a community that's for people 55 and older. It's just north of Orlando, Florida, and it's home to more than 130,000 people. But check out this clip from the doc.
The Village is like being on vacation every day.
The Disney World for retirees.
It is like going off to college.
You come here to live. You don't come here to pass away. There is no place like this. This is Nirvana.
That spooky music makes me think it's not. Okay, some of the other claims about The Villages from the documentary include horrible racism, orgies, and lots of drinking. Apparently, they have a newspaper where they only
take one of those out of there. You got a great pitch. I mean, I'm just saying. You buried the lead.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. They also apparently have a newspaper where, get this, they only print positive news. I could not live like this. Now, I'm not saying I'm against whatever sexual fantasies you want to be part of, but I can't live in a toxic positivity world. I can't.
I mean, society tells you at a certain age you're old, nobody wants you, you get fired from your job, ageism. So this, to me, was a beautiful commercial until you started throwing in some other things like racism, orgies that don't particularly sit with me well. But I mean, it seems like a community. I love the line where, like, we came here to live, not to die.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people tell you everywhere else you go in these retirement communities and you really retire and do absolutely nothing. So I think this is like a good, I mean, there's a negative in everything if somebody wants to dig and find it. Yeah, but these old people are having a good time. Why are we bashing?
Because it might be a cult, Al.
Look, I read a book 15, 20 years ago called The Graying of America, and it was talking about how people are living longer. Like back in the day, in 1950, you retire at 55 and you might live to 62, and that was a good life. But now people live till their 90s and they're spry and they're taking the Indian dance classes and they're doing things, and there's another 30 years of your life to party it up. And I think they were like, we have our kids, we have a retirement, we did life, now we just want to have this kind of utopia. It kind of reminds me of that Black Mirror episode where you could just go to anywhere you wanted to after you passed away.
Right, so like, when does the line get crossed there between, like, this is utopia and I'm not living in reality, I'm living in a Disney orgy?
Are you telling me these people aren't going to have cell phones and be able to access the negative news, all the negative news they want?
That's fair.
Everything's an option. I mean, these are grown individuals, right? Unless it truly is a cult.
And they're brainwashed.
And they don't have access to anything.
Right.
But if you're happy being brainwashed, what's wrong with that?
Because it's not your brain.
Well, we've seen in history when people get brainwashed, things go really bad.
First of all, worst lawyer ever. I would defend myself in court.
Objection.
It's not your brain. No.
Wait, but like, I mean, that's subversive activity.
If you already feel like you've already had the arguments, you've done the good things in life, you see your kids graduate college, you have grandkids, you've done it all, do you still want to be reading the news every day being mad, or do you like say, I want to turn off, sit in a hammock, call Lindsay, have mimosas at 11, and every day is kind of Saturday afternoon?
You know what? Let me tell you something. There's a lot of pent-up anger in that Villages.
I think we know where it's being released.
I feel like Tori would be the first one to subscribe.
It did look nice with the sailing. It looked nice. Coming up on DBL, our medical expert, my love, Dr. Payal Kohli. She's going to tackle those COVID-19 headlines, including the latest numbers and the variants. Y'all have been writing me like crazy. And should the Senate move forward with the Trump impeachment? We're going to share your comments. Yes, we are. Coming up next in DBL Take.
Right now, like Black Lives Matter co-founder Patrisse Khan-Cullors, who created the viral hashtag that rounded up national support against police brutality and social injustice. In addition to being an activist, she's an artist, professor, and a New York Times best-selling author.
This is a Smile Direct Club aligner. It's how Smile Direct Club safely and gently straightens your teeth. Wear them as directed, and you'll get a smile you love.
Former President Trump is the first president to face an impeachment trial after leaving office. It's also another first for a president. He's accused of inciting an insurrection. But given the history of the United States, with episodes like the Civil War, we wanted to verify, is President Trump the first person to be impeached for insurrection? Our sources are the Senate records and constitutional law professor, Dr. Mark Graber from the University of Maryland.
The answer is no one has been impeached and convicted of insurrection. People have been impeached and convicted, but not of insurrection.
So that's a no. Former President Trump will be the first person to be tried for insurrection. I know what you're thinking, but what about those senators and congressmen who joined the Confederacy before and during the Civil War?
Impeachment is something that's done for members of the executive and judicial branch. Senators may be expelled, representatives may be expelled, but they're not impeached.
That means there is a whole generation of senators and representatives that were expelled from office, but none of them faced a Senate impeachment trial, which makes Donald Trump the first federal official to be tried for insurrection against the United States.
Rick Hooks is here. Welcome to DBL. First off, mazel tov on making it. We're so glad you're here. You were in the hospital with COVID for 127 days and in a coma for 80 of those days.
I didn't wake up till May 2nd. My lung had collapsed. And so they ran in the room. Oh, no, he's going to die. Please help him. And, you know, I'm still not coherent to what's going on. I hadn't woke up fully.
Welcome back to DBL. A big shout out to our coworkers tuning in from home during the pandemic. It ain't easy, so we love you, we miss you, and we hope we're doing well. The Senate impeachment trial for former President Trump kicks off today, but a lot of people are wondering, what's the point? While others think, well, he needs to be held accountable for his role in the Capitol riot. So what do we do when we don't know? We turn to you. DBL Nation, should there be an impeachment trial, or is it just a waste of time and money? You guys are already writing in, and very quickly, he's already been impeached. That's the House part. The Senate is the conviction. So that's what we're talking about, the trial to convict him. We're going to respond to some of your comments. Lindsay, you're up first.
Okay.
Casey from Facebook says, are we going to be able to go back and forth and impeach other past presidents like Lincoln? What a waste.
Well, Casey, I definitely think that, you know, at first, I was under the impression that we shouldn't move forward. I wanted to move to the next presidency and allow President Joe Biden, to go into the office and have some type of bipartisanship, because everybody, half of the country that supported President Trump probably doesn't want to see this. And I still don't know that we're going to get a majority of those Senate votes to say that President Trump should be convicted for something that might fall under freedom of speech, even though others think it's seditious. So yeah. I think we have a long conversation to have. But like I said, we have to set a precedent. Like Tori said, actually, we have to set a precedent, so we can't just let these things slide.
Interesting. We do need 17 senators from the Republican side to cross over. That's the number we need. Al, this is from Molly on YouTube. It says, I just want to make sure Trump can't run again in 4 years.
Well, that's part of it. I mean, part of the sanctions that he's worried about happening is that he will not be able to run in 2024, any year after that. And I think it affects his pension and a lot of things that, I think it's $1 million a year. Is that right, Tori?
Yeah, Secret Service. There's a lot involved that gets canceled.
Yeah, there's a lot of the fringe benefits that comes from being a former president, having the highest office. So I think that that's at stake as well. I know a lot of people are impeach or don't impeach, but that's what he's worried about.
And again, he's already been impeached. It's just waiting on the conviction. And a lot of you are saying, will the 17 actually turn? It's highly unlikely. I'll be
they kind of
super honest with you.
You're assuming that they're not going to turn. So
right. We're assuming this is exceedingly unlikely that we get 17 Republicans to switch. I'll respond to James from Twitter, who just wrote in, this is a giant waste of time, just like the first impeachment trial. I don't know why people don't seem to think that when someone was bashed in the head and killed, a police officer, and we're supposed to believe in law and order, that this is a waste of time. All of a sudden, like, Blue Lives Matter doesn't seem to matter. 5 people were killed during this riot, and for some reason, the incitement, which is illegal, you're not allowed to incite violence, and if they can show a clear path, it's virtually a slam dunk. Now, it's going to have to take a lot of senators to say, I don't trust my, I will go over to the other side, and I don't know if that will happen. Lindsay, I just want to get your take on this. Scott from Twitter says, Trump must be held accountable so this doesn't happen again.
Yeah, I think we saw something different, Scott, in this presidency, well, the past presidency, because we saw a president that went down to the Capitol and kind of had a conversation with his followers saying, hey, listen, we will go to the Capitol, and then they actually did, and they went beyond what he asked them to do. And so now we have to understand, is that something that we're going to blame on him? Is that something that we're going to blame on some of these other Republicans? And we have to look at how we're going to move forward, because if this happens again, we can't do nothing.
Yeah, that's why we can't do nothing now, in my opinion. But y'all, great job writing in. Coming up in DBL, your favorite doctor ever, Dr. Pyle Coley. She's clearing up some coronavirus confusion and putting the latest numbers into perspective. You really don't want to miss her vital information coming up next.
Nearly
Welcome back to DBL. Nearly a year into the pandemic, I remember when she first started here, cases and hospitalizations in the U.S. are dropping. Our medical expert and friend of the show, Dr. Pyle Coley, joins us. So, Doc, why are some health experts saying that despite the dropping numbers, we're actually in the eye of the hurricane?
So, Tori, if you think about a hurricane, you're having the storm, and then it seems to settle down. You let your guard down, come out, and you realize that was just the eye, and the rest of the storm is still coming. That is exactly the period that we're in right now. So the cases are down, the hospitalizations are down. We have to pat ourselves on the back for that because we've worked hard to get here. But it's important not to let our guard down yet because there's a new, more contagious variant circulating in the community. In fact, the new study tells us that the variants are going to double about every 10 days. And by March, they may become the dominant strain. So we don't want to let our guard down yet. We want to work hard to really keep these numbers down. And the biggest part of that is obviously the mitigation measures that we've talked about, but also making sure we all get that vaccine as soon as it's available to us.
Excellent. And sorry for that earlier technical issue with the voice. We got it all worked out now. Al, go ahead.
All right. Well, Doc, I'm going to keep going on what you were talking about with the vaccine. What role does the vaccine play in the fight against COVID-19 at this point?
So Al, I think you're kind of a war guy, so I'm going to say it's the cavalry, but myself, I'm a fairy tale girl, so I'm going to say it's the white knight in shining armor. It is what is going to end the pandemic, and it's going to get our lives back to normal. It's going to help us to have those weddings, those graduations, all the things that we want to have. And what we've seen is that the vaccine reduces severe illness. It's already reduced deaths and hospitalizations. It also reduces asymptomatic illness. There's new data that it reduces transmission, so you're maybe not even spreading it to others. And if you do get sick, you'll end up getting a milder version of the illness. So many pluses to the vaccine.
Wow.
I'll take it.
Dr. Coley, I've been waiting to ask you this. So if I get infected with one of these variants, will the vaccine still protect me?
Yeah,
That's what I'm really curious
I want to know
about.
the answer to this.
That's a great question, Lindsay, and the answer is yes. So there is a little bit of concerning data out of South Africa that the AstraZeneca vaccine is not working against the South African variant. In fact, they actually pulled it out of their country. But the good news for us here in the States is that the two vaccines that we have approved, which are the Moderna and the Pfizer vaccine, are working against the variant. And if they're working at 94, 95% for the originals, for the variants, they're saying about 20% less, maybe even a little bit more, but that's still pretty damn good protection. So the good news is that the vaccines are going to play a key role here in the United States as keeping those cases at bay, but we have to make sure we slow down the spread now, because if the virus keeps spreading, it's going to keep mutating, and one day we may end up getting a variant that the vaccine doesn't work against.
Just really quickly, like, how nervous are you, Dr. Coley, about the variants? Are you at a 10? Are you at like a 0? Tell me where. I just want to know where I should be.
So today, Tori, I'm probably about a 7.5.
Okay.
But what worries me the most about it is that, remember this time last year when we met, we had just a handful of coronavirus cases. We were hanging out. We thought we could squelch it, and it spread. Now we're dealing with something more aggressive, more contagious, more deadly, and we're kind of in the same position. So I don't want history to repeat itself, but I do think that those vaccines are going to help us keep it from repeating itself.
At least we found the vaccine. That's great news. Thank you for all of that info, Doc. We'll be right back.
Promotional consideration is brought to you by
Welcome back to DBL. You guys are writing in like crazy. We so appreciate it. Krister from Facebook says, I've always been a fan of Britney's. I'm glad to see the different conversation happening and not just jokes. And David says, never was a Britney fan, but I do feel she was treated unfairly.
Has he ever heard Toxic?
Yeah, I know.
And he didn't like it.
Right.
Write me.
Yeah, well, very big of you, Tori, to apologize. I hope more people can apologize.
That was awesome.
Also, someone said, Sue says, Trump, it's a total waste of our money. He is out now. Move on. Well, keep writing us in. We are new every day. Great job, Tori. We'll see you same time, same place tomorrow.
you.